The art of cinema and movie making has been around since the 19th century. For years, as Hollywood and the film industry have developed, films have gotten more creative, some serving as entertainment, a distraction from the hardships of normal life. Others serve as a retelling of the issues facing society at the time, or at any given time. Hollywood has made more money than you could have ever imagined through the exploitation of its workers, characters, and narratives. My name is Sierra Legs, and in this video essay, I argue that Jordan Peele's Nope is a statement about the exploitation in Hollywood. More specifically, the exploitation of animals, Black people, and trauma. Peele achieves this by aligning the film's characters and plots with the history of Hollywood. There is a history of Hollywood mistreating animals. In an article from the Los Angeles Times High School Insider, there is a list of different instances of animals being harmed when being used for television and film productions. Some examples include a horse being run off of a cliff to die in Jesse James, which is a Western from 1939, as well as fish and other underwater species that died as a result of the practical explosion effects in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl in 2003. Here I have a quote from PETA, the animal rights organization. Using wild animals such as bears, snakes, big cats, monkeys, wolves, and elephants for entertainment is inherently cruel, and there is never a situation in which it's acceptable to use them in a movie or a TV show. No amount of training can ever completely override their natural instincts. In nature, most animals do everything that they can to avoid humans, but those used by Hollywood trainers are forced into close proximity with their captors and are also deprived of their families, their freedom, and everything else that's natural and important to them. The conditions under which many animals are forced to live when being used for television and film productions can be quite abysmal. Nowadays, there are rules to try to ensure the safety of the animal, but just having these animals on a film set is not a good idea. This is why many Hollywood productions have switched to using green screen or CGI animals instead of live ones. A similar instance is shown in Nope, where after an incident with a live horse, the crew decides to use a green screen horse using CGI and special effects, rather than using the live horse that was provided to them. In Nope, the main characters, OJ and his sister Emerald, run a family-owned horse ranch under the business name Haywood's Hollywood Horses. Part of the company's purpose is to lend live horses to film and television productions. In the movie, there's a scene where an actress is kicked by a horse after she and the director did not listen to the rules and boundaries that were set by OJ, who is the horse's handler.
Hey man, if she can't get near the back of the horse, what are we doing here?
Hey, 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 hey! Whoa, 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 whoa.
I find this scene to be significant because it just kind of goes to show that Hollywood has a history of mistreating animals and not listening to their handlers. They couldn't respect what OJ was trying to tell them, and they got mad at him when it ended up backfiring. Hollywood likes to treat animals as if they are humans, as if they act like human actors, but they also don't extend the same respect that they give to people. Or not all people, some people. There's also a plot in Nope about a monkey who goes on a killing spree during the filming of a TV sitcom episode. At the end of the day, this monkey and other animals that are used in these kinds of productions are trained to act as if they are people, but they are still wild animals and they still have those natural instincts. In this case, animal exploitation goes terribly wrong, ending in multiple deaths, including the animal itself. Blaxploitation is a genre of films that started in the 1970s as a way to attract Black audiences. The term comes from the combination of the word Black and exploitation. The rise in Blaxploitation films actually came as a response to the Black Power movements and civil rights movements of the 1960s. These films were created by Black crews to target Black audiences, but they were also low budget, and many of their storylines centered around racial tension, drugs, sex, violence, just to name a few. Also in these films, the stereotyping was very, very apparent. So the representations of Black people themselves was very not... The first Blaxploitation film was Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, which was directed by Melvin Van Peebles in 1971. The demand for Blaxploitation films greatly increased in the early 70s after this first film was released. In a statement that I found in an article, the NAACP actually joined forces with the National Urban League and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to form the Coalition Against Blaxploitation. This organization called for an end to the genre by the late 1970s and was successful in doing so. However, even after the genre ended, its existence created sparks in other Black filmmakers during the 80s and the 90s, some of which you may be very familiar with today. These filmmakers wanted to tell Black stories, and clearly there was an audience for it. So they include Spike Lee, who is popular for a multitude of films, including Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing, Love and Basketball. There's also John Singleton, who did Poetic Justice, Boys in the Hood, and many others. The inspiration that was caused by the rise of blaxploitation films still lingers to this day, and there are still some directors who have been influenced by it, such as Ryan Coogler, who directed Black Panther, and we also have Nope's very own Jordan Peele. Beginning with just the title of the film, the word Nope is actually a reference to the horror film genre, and just in general, the kind of self-preservation instincts that Black people in other POCs have that their white counterparts don't really have. You may notice that in a lot of horror films, Black characters are either killed first, or they simply run away from the problems. So the actual word nope just kind of serves as a nope, as in their refusal to participate in weird, crazy stuff that's going on. Also, the word nope has been confirmed by Jordan Peele to be an acronym for Not of Planet Earth, which connects the alien entity itself with Black people.
I know you did not think, not of planet Earth, but what did you think when people came with that theory? Weren't you gagged?
What you talking about? I didn't think of that.
Oh, you did? That was what you meant? That is what you meant?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, there is
Wow, that might be one thing they got right.
I was trying to let people figure that out for themselves,
Wow.
So I wasn't leaning into that, but the cat's out of the bag. We are talking about a UFO here, and it is not a planet Earth. And it also, of course, refers to how Black people would, what we would say if we saw a UFO. No.
In the beginning of the film, there's a scene where OJ's sister, Emerald, is explaining Edward Muybridge's contributions to the history of motion pictures. She says that the actual first set of motion pictures were done by Edward Muybridge, and that it included a cowboy riding a horse.
Now, did you know that the very first assembly of photographs in sequential order to create a motion picture was a 2-second clip of a Black man on a horse? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Look it up. Now, I know you guys know Edward Muybridge, the grandfather of motion pictures, who took the pictures that created that clip. But does anybody know the name of the Black jockey that rode the horse?
No.
This story is partially true. The first motion pictures were of a man riding a horse, but the actual photos used for the movie were a set of photos that were used a few years later, and the writer does appear to be Black, but there is not much information known about him. What this story speaks to the most is the underappreciation of Black people in Hollywood's history. More specifically, let's talk about Oscar Micheaux. Oscar Micheaux has been credited as the first Black director. He was pretty successful. He did create over 44 films in his lifetime, but not many people know who he is. And on top of that, a lot of his films are still lost to this day. So Black people have just too often in Hollywood history been exploited and then never recognized for their contributions to the industry. Within Hollywood, the creation of genres such as talk shows and reality TV are literally all about trying to profit off of people's issues and trauma. The same can be said even now with the rise of podcasts and social media. People will post videos of their trauma online and they will share it with the entire world, and a lot of the time they do it with the intention of trying to make money off of their own pain. In a statement from Vice, while TikTok has popularized the art of storytelling through video in a short format, perhaps more than any other app, the repeated refrain has encouraged users on Trauma Talk to delve deeper into their ordeals, often in multiple parts. Sometimes it seems like a strategic move from the TikToker themselves. If they're asked to make additional content, it leads to more likes, more views, and subsequently, more followers. Trauma, as it has done before, becomes a vehicle for social media stardom. Nevertheless, making money off of trauma has been extremely popular for years, both within Hollywood and also within society and social media as a whole. This brings me to the character Jupe and his backstory in the movie Nope. So like I mentioned earlier, there was a monkey massacre on the set of a TV sitcom, and Jupe happened to be a child on the set at the time. He was one of the 2 children who actually survived the mauling, although the other one was severely injured. For years, Jupe tried to profit off of that story. There's a scene where he's showing OJ and Emerald his little prize trophy room all about the TV show, because of course they never aired the episode where everybody was massacred, but people had heard about it before. Not only does he try to profit off of that, but he tries to profit off of the alien, which does ultimately lead to his demise. So Jupe sets up this event where he invites all of these little spectators to come and actually witness the alien. Every single person that attended that event ended up getting abducted by the alien, and in the process they were killed, including the second child who was actually with Jupe at the time of the monkey massacre. She's the one who was severely injured, and so she comes to this event. She doesn't really know what to expect, neither do many of the other audience members, and then she ends up getting killed after a second traumatic event. There's also Emerald and OJ who are trying to profit off of the alien. The alien did kill their father, so it's the connection that they have with it is really interesting. The alien also resides basically on the ranch with them. And that's the whole plot of the movie, is that they are trying to get photographic evidence that this alien exists. So at the end of the movie, there is a moment when Emerald struggles to leave behind OJ because he's staying back with the alien, and he tells her to just move forward, to just leave. And so she does leave, but when she makes it to Jupe's theme park, she actually stops and tries to get a picture of the alien. So Emerald does end up getting the picture of the alien, and to her, the photo and the possibility of fame kind of makes all of the struggle and the trauma that they have gone through because of this alien, it makes it worth it in the end. Or not really worth it, but it makes it so that it wasn't for nothing. Like, they're getting something out of it. And that brings me to my conclusion. So in this video essay, I have compiled examples from history and from the movie Nope to kind of put them together and demonstrate Hollywood's part in the exploitation of certain things and events. But there is one question that remains. What do we do about capitalizing off of the exploitation of animals, people, and trauma? Is it right? Or is it wrong? I'm not sure I know the answer. However, I think Jordan Peele does do a good job in the movie Nope to kind of showcase these concerns and give the audience enough to think for themselves and kind of make that judgment for themselves. By taking just a slight look below the surface, you can begin to grasp the genius of Jordan Peele's Nope.